like to thank everybody for tuning in the channel. We hit 10,000 subscribers, which is amazing, and that's from y'all. So really do appreciate all the likes and subscribes. It's really helped the algorithm. And today we're going to talk about the 2024 Ford. Y'all all know that I ordered a 2023 Ford. It never got a VIN. It never got built. The dealer had allocation. It was a priority 10. You know, it was a King Ranch, and I think the King Ranches were just some of the, I guess they didn't have the equipment for the King Ranches because they built very few of them. Now they're just now starting to ramp those up, and they're starting to hit the dealer lots. But anyway, I moved on. I ordered a 24, and I ordered a limited because there was, you know, LED equipment, massaging seats, a bunch of those things that were getting canceled off of the Platinums and the King Ranches, that I just said, you know, if I order the limited, Ford's basically saying if you order the limited, you're going to get everything. So I went that route, okay? Now, I've got some things for the build here on the floor, and I've got a couple people been messaging me saying, hey, what are you going to do on this truck? You know, what size tires, what lift, all those things. And so I've been building this pile up for the new truck. And so I'm fixing to pull up to the shop. I'm gonna get out and kind of go over some of my ideas and my concerns, things I've done in the past, things I'm gonna do on this one that I'm gonna change, you know, and that fits my needs basically for pulling the RV and those type of things. So anyway, let me get this truck turned around real quick. We're gonna get out and just kind of show you. This one's actually gonna be a real simple build this year, guys. I'm gonna go over the parts that I have, and then I'm gonna go to the Ford site and just show you how I built out the truck, and we'll go from there. So let me get out of the truck and let's start talking about it. All right, so I'm gonna grab a chair just because I'm gonna be here for a little bit, and I just wanna talk about some of the reasons why I decided to do a little bit different build on this truck versus the other trucks that I've had. Okay, for one, my camper is basically 13.6, 13.7 tall, so I'm pretty much pushing limits with it. I tried to put the lift on the camper. It did not pull as good. I had to pull that back off. So, you know, it rides a little high in the front, which makes the back a little low because it's a 43-foot toy hauler. So it, you know, if it's high in the front, it's gonna be low in the back. So then you have problems with the back dragging every once in a while. So the lift didn't really work out on that. And I had plenty of bed space. I mean, I had about 7 to 8 inches of bed rail space, but overall, it's just gonna do much better on a 35 than it does on a 37. The 37s do look really good tucked under the Ford Super Duties. I agree. The 35s look like the truck might have missed leg days every once in a while. But I think that's, to be fair, on a narrow tire, okay? For me, I like the 1350s, and maybe that's my problem. You put a 37 1350 under there, you do a 2.5 inch. It fits pretty decent, but it rubs a radius arm and it rubs a sway bar, right? So then you put spacers on it, you get it out, or aftermarket wheels, either way. The minute you start moving it out, you got to start going higher, you know. And I guess for everybody's going to run a 37, you know, the 3 inch is probably where the money's at, right? And you can get those 3 inch lifts and do, you know, whatever you need to do on that. For me, I always try to stay at that 2.5, and I still had about 1.5 inches of drop, even doing the airbags, just because that's where the camper needed to be. And so for me, I'm a different situation. I'm going to pull my camper, and on a 1,300 mile trip, you know, the trips that you're doing 100, 200 miles, you pull all day with 37s. It's no different, right? But if you're pulling 105-degree heat and you're pulling with 37s, you do notice it is harder on the truck, and you're braking and all those things, okay? So just being honest, right? 100-mile trips, 200-mile trips, yeah, no difference. I mean, it's not significant enough for it to really matter. But, you know, if you're going from Texas to Florida, or you're going to Nevada, you know, something like that, it's a pretty good run. So anyway, 35s is what I have decided to go with on this truck. Now I've got a 35 I'm going to show you here in a minute, and I'm going to do another video, and I'm going to talk about the difference between E and F ratings, and also the, you know, the difference between 80 psi tires and 65 psi tires. And y'all all know that I like the Nitto mud graps. Basically, it's like the engineers got a tire and they said you can make all the noise you want and everything else was great. Soft ride, wet weather traction, rain. I mean, it just, those mud graps were amazing. Best riding tire I've ever had, and even best towing tire. I mean, pulled many miles on those, and yeah, they wear a little fast, but they're soft, and that's something that's a trade-off, you know. The two top brands for me were always the Nitto mud grapplers and the Toyo MTs. You know, hand in hand. Toyo MT's a little quieter. They're a good tire. They're a little bit stiffer to me than the mud terrains, but they're gonna last a little bit longer. You know, so you just kind of weigh all that. And the other problem I have is the Nitto Mud Grappler, the 35, is only rated for 3,100 pounds. That's not gonna cut it. You know, I'm gonna need a 37 to 3,800 pound weight rating on my tires. So a 35-inch Nitto Mud Grappler in the 20 is only rated for 3,100. So, you know, if you're not pulling any trailers, sure, put them on your HD, but if you are, you're not giving yourself much room for payload on those. So anyway, I decided to go with the 35 1350. I'm going to go with the wide look on this truck. Not on this truck, but on my 24. And I've got it, like I said, compared to the trimmer here, so you can kind of see the width is way wider. And you know, for me, I'm going to push those out. I'm going to put them on there. They probably won't rub the sway bar. They probably won't rub the radius arms. The new ones are designed, if you look under this truck, Ford actually gave us better angles going in on the front, so that we don't rub those things. The sway bar is still the same, so you'll still rub it a little bit, but the radius arms definitely give you a little bit more turning radius. So, and a 35 actually kind of gets you out of where those bubbles are. So 35 1350 probably won't rub at all, but for me, I do like them to have a little bit of that aftermarket look. The limited wheel is a good looking wheel in this truck coming up, so I'm happy with that. But what I'll do right here, as you see, I've got a 1-inch Bora spacer, same ones I ran on my other trucks. I've had 2-inch and 1-inch. I'm gonna run the 1-inch on there, push them out a little bit past the fender just to kind of give them a better look. And I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna pull well. I'm gonna get my power back having the 35s and you know, all those things. And I could not get the 355 with the FX4, and that's another reason I went with the 35s, because the minute you select FX4, you have to get the 331 with the rear differential locker. It will not let you have the 355 unless you drop FX4. I prefer to have the FX4. The other thing I have here, if you look on my older videos, even on my 22, this is the 2-wheel drive Lance. The new ones have different part numbers. You cannot use the old ones with the new ones. And I have the trimmer sitting here so you can see the difference. You know, this one's probably, the trimmer one's probably 2 inches tall. This one's probably 4. And the stock one that comes on them is 8. So the stock one's gonna come off, this one's gonna go on. I will post the part number to this right here. You do have to watch the video to get that part number. Don't ask me in the comments, hey, what part number is the 2-wheel drive Lance? I'm not gonna answer. The next 2 things, Banks Pedal Monster. These things are amazing on these 6.7 Fords. You can, believe it or not, I love them. They run great, it takes the delay out. So, the other thing that I'm adding, and I've had this in my shop, is the Ready Lift. And I'm only doing a 1.5 on the front on this truck. I do like to have about 1 inch of rake in all my vehicles. And you know, this is a pretty easy deal right here. This is what it looks like. It goes on the bottom of the spring. It's just the bottom perch with the bolt. You bolt it down, 1.5 inch stock springs. Now, talking about this, another reason for that is any other thing you change the pull rate or the spring rate, you're gonna really mess up the scales. And I'm not as worried about the scales being off as I am the headlights. The new ones, the sensors control the headlights up and down. So having the same pull rate and the same spring under there, more than likely the scales are gonna be closer and all that stuff should work like it should. Now, there is 1 or 2 companies out that have leveling kits for the 2.5. And you can buy that, and if you go with the 2.5, you know, you get the bracket. On these, mark the sensor, re-drill the bolt, tap it, or use a little piece of aluminum, move the little deal up, put it back, you're gonna be fine. So you will have to modify that for the scales, but I feel like staying with the stock spring and adding that is gonna be pretty good. The one thing I probably will add to it is One Up Off-Road makes the 1.5 inch radius arm drop, and they make the 1.5 inch track bar drop. The truck would probably be fine without both of those, but I do believe in geometry, and I believe I want all that down. And so even though I'm only doing the 1.5 inch, I'm gonna put the radius arm drops on, and I'm also gonna put the track bar drop from One Up Off-Road. Really, that's it, and it's gonna be a pretty simple build. Not a lot to it. Just kind of wanted to go over it today. You know, I feel like the 35s, a little bit wider look. I've seen a lot of them online. They look really good. I do love the 37 look, but it just gets too hard to run the 37s and not have to be too tall, adding the trimmer block to the back. If you put the 2.5, you're already at rake, and then you got to add another inch to the back plus the 37s. It just starts adding up. And so on this truck, I'm gonna stay with the 35s. I may change my mind later, but that's the plan. Anyway, the week of October 23rd, this one's actually scheduled. I already have a VIN, which is a lot more progress than we had last year. It's almost been a year to date since I ordered the last truck that never got anything. So we're hoping the union doesn't go on a strike and that they'll actually build this truck. So anyway, that's about it. I'm gonna go through the build on the Ford site for you if you wanna see that. It is the 23 year model numbers, so the 24s are about $1,500 to $2,000 more dollars, just price increase from last year to this year. I think there is a little bit more destination cost. I think they added another $200 to destination delivery. So anyway, let me get in the house and let's run through and I'll kind of show you how I built this truck out. And let's check it out. Okay, so real quick, I did want to cover the 355 versus the 331. My white Power Stroke that I had before had the 355s. It pulled the 43-foot toy hauler pretty decent, but it would drop down to 6th and 7th gear with 37s, and I felt like 37s were putting a pretty good load on it in the heat of the day. So if I was buying the truck with 355s again, do I think the 37s would probably pull okay? The answer is yes. Does it put a little extra strain on it? For sure. If you're pulling a 10,000 pound camper, it really doesn't matter. But if you're pulling a large toy hauler that's very heavy, with a generator and all the good stuff that comes with the toy hauler, that's a different story, okay? So being that I'm gonna have to go to the 331s on this one to keep my FX4, 35s are what I'm gonna have to do. So just wanted to say that. Now let's get to the build. Okay, so once you're on this screen right here, you're gonna go shop. We're gonna go to build and price. It's gonna pop up another window. We'll scroll down right here to Super Duty 2023. And then we're gonna hit start your build. We can't change it to 2024 at this point, but over here on the right, you can see we've got F350 for style. We're going crew cab, and I'm just building this truck out the way I built it on mine when we ordered it. Single rear wheel, 6 3/4 box, and then you'll see I have the F350 Limited down here. So Agate Black is the color I used, and you can see on the Limited, a lot of these things, like the 6.7 high output is standard equipment. So everything highlighted here is standard equipment. You'll notice the 331 non-limited slip axle is selected. It's gonna switch me to the electronic locking axle. We'll go ahead and do that because I'm gonna pick the FX4. So when I come down here, we'll grab the FX4. Fifth wheel gooseneck prep, that is standard equipment, so it's gonna be on there. Wheels, standard equipment, exterior mirrors, running boards, all that's there. One of the things we're going to have to do is we have to go down to the spray and bed liner, add that. We're going to add the trailer TPMS. That's going to come with a pack of 4 TPMS sensors for your trailer. We'll keep scrolling. Like I said, all that is basic. Right here where it says wheel well liner, it's the rear. If you want the front and rear, you have to select that. And you'll see it unselects just the rears. I don't need any of the other stuff. The moonroof is standard equipment. I did add the 12,000 pound Ford Performance winch. Nice thing about that, it is a little bit pricey, but the dealer installs that for you. They have to pull the bumper off. The truck ships with it in the truck, but the dealer has to install the bracket. They got to install the winch and do all that. So for me, with the labor included, I think that's worth it. I added the wheel locks, the engine block heater. It doesn't get too cold here, but every once in a while it does. All the other things there are standard equipment. And I added the LED roof marker clearance lamps. The interior, we'll scroll the picture over so y'all can see that. That's basically what the truck looks like. It's the Admiral Blue, that's standard on the Limiteds. Max Recline is also standard on the Limiteds. Going down here, rapid heat supplemental cab heater. You add that, and basically that's an electric heater, so you don't have to wait on the engine to warm up to get heat in your cab. The minute you start it up, it's instant heat, and I think that's only if it's below like 35 degrees. So everything else here is standard equipment, onboard scales, Pro Power. I did add the vehicle safe console vault. Like I said, just nice to have some of those things already installed. Don't have to do it when it shows up. B&O sound system. So this is pretty much my build. And I think for 24, they added, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,000 on these trucks. So these are all the packages that are on it. But I appreciate you watching the video. If it helped you any with any of your decisions, please hit that like and subscribe. But one of the things you can do here is you can hit the summary. And if you go, there's a place to save this build. So if you go on here and build it, you can actually save it and email it to your dealer. So your dealer gets the exact summary of what you want built. Not seeing that share button right this second. But anyway, hit that like and subscribe if you like the video. And we'll catch you on the next one.